Welcome to another edition of the Buzzer Beater on the Buffoon Sports Talk Network. I'm Troy Alexander, riding solo for this episode. Last week I had one of my other buffoons on here, Alex, but doing this one by myself today. Hopefully I can have some more guests on here in the upcoming weeks, and I really look forward to that. So I actually just got done watching the Boston Celtics and Los Angeles Lakers game here on Sunday afternoon, and more evidence is provided every time I watch the Lakers that they cannot stop dominant wings. It's just like Jason Tatum is obviously evolving into a superstar in the NBA. And, obviously there's some things that he needs to work on, like when he gets trapped or double teamed, he has to find better ways of getting the ball out earlier and finding more of his teammates and just getting his teammates more involved. I know on the year he's only averaging like 2 to 2.5 assists. So ideally, if you're a Celtics fan and you want Jason Tatum to take the next level, I think that would probably be the next step that he can take. He's improved immensely. I mean, offensively, defensively. So, he's only in his third year. So he's going to improve his facilitation. And, if you're a Celtics fan, you probably have a lot to look forward to. As far as the Lakers go, I mean, how many times did we watch in that game where, Jason Tatum has the ball one-on-one and it either be like Danny Green or KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, guarding him. And at the beginning of the game, Caldwell-Pope was struggling to guard him, but towards the end of the game, KCP seemed to have maybe found more success guarding him. And the Lakers actually, I believe they started trapping Jason Tatum on the end of the first half. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know they for sure were doing a lot more of it come second half. And they would bring JaVale McGee up, or whoever was playing center or the 4 spot. They would come up and help their defender on Jason Tatum. They would trap him, and they would force the ball out of his hands. Normally, when you trap a player, that player that's being trapped is going to make a pass out to another guy, which probably leads to another guy and leads to a 3-pointer. But like I said at the beginning of this is one of the areas that Jason Tatum has to improve on, and that's getting better when he's doubled and getting his teammates more involved. And I feel like if the Lakers would have done this to like Giannis or like Pascal Siakam or somebody, I think there would have been more threes hit tonight or this afternoon. That's just, Tatum's only in his third year. He'll get better at that, but just more struggles from the Lakers just with wings. I think Tatum had 41 points. And like I said, KCP had a little more success on him come second half. But, either way you look at it, the Lakers have had these struggles all year with wings. And it's obvious when they play, like when they've played the best teams, they have a losing record against the best teams because they don't have guys to guard athletic wings because the Lakers just don't have the personnel. And the Lakers really aren't an athletic team either. Take a look at some of their losses out of the 12 that they have. One was against the Raptors in Los Angeles. Pascal Siakam just tore him apart. There's one wing. They played Milwaukee in Milwaukee. And, I know Milwaukee's an historic great team like this year, but still, struggled to guard Giannis, another elite wing and arguably the best player in the game. And then both times against the Clippers, losses. Who do they have for wings? Well, first game they had Kawhi Leonard. Second game they had Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Like I said, both losses. And at the top of my head, I can't think of their other 8 losses, but I know one's to the Magic and some other things. But even in some of these games, like they've still struggled. Even in some of the games they've won, they've still struggled to guard these wings. Like look at tonight. They beat the Celtics. Oh, I'm sorry. And then one of their other losses was to the Celtics by like 30-something points where the Lakers were just a mess. But they won tonight. Jason Tatum had 41 points. So, if you're the Lakers, I don't know if you're looking for Markieff Morris, who they're going to be signing off the buyout market. I don't know if you're looking at him to be like your savior to guard wings, but there's just it's very worrisome if you're a Laker fan and you're rooting for them to win because it's I don't see LeBron being able to guard the other team's best player in a playoff series plus do what is asked and depended on him on offense every game. That is a lot to ask of him, especially just 35. And how I feel, I still think LeBron has another Superman gear left in him. And I think we're going to see that come playoff time. If you watch the All-Star game, I know Giannis guarded LeBron really well one-on-one. He had like 2 or 3 really insane blocks on LeBron. But there was one possession that I don't think enough people are talking about, where Giannis had the ball on the baseline and he was trying to back down LeBron in the post, and LeBron stood his ground and deflected the ball off Giannis and it went out of bounds back to Team LeBron. So I know that was one possession. But still, I still feel like LeBron has another gear that he can push the Lakers for. But you can't ask LeBron 4 games in a series to guard the best player, be the best facilitator on offense, and score the ball. I just think that's a lot to ask of him, even if he has a Superman gear left in him. But anyway, I kind of just wanted to dissect the Lakers Celtics game a little bit and then move on to a few questions that our other buffoon, Jake, has asked today that I wanted to go over as well. And just kind of the playoff picture and what kind of is planning out to look like, and maybe just kind of go over some matchups. But yeah, Lakers won today. I believe the final score was 114 to 112, and I'm not sure exactly, but I know the Lakers won by 2 points. And man, Anthony Davis really struggles in the post when he's double teamed. Like, I'm pretty sure every time he got doubled in the post today, it was a turnover, and that's something Anthony Davis has got to improve on too, because the Lakers don't have a huge margin of error going into the playoffs. Like, they have a lot of deficiencies against wing players. So you're going to need Davis to step his game up even more. And if you are asking LeBron to do what he's doing on offense for the Lakers, plus sometimes guard the other team's best wing, then you're definitely going to need Anthony Davis to play the best basketball he's ever played in his life. Is he capable of it? I'm pretty sure he is. I mean, he's a top 5 player in the NBA. But he's definitely got to get better when doubled in the post, because it just leads to turnovers, and it was not pretty to watch. But nonetheless, I think Davis had like 29 or 31 points, and he was a monster on the boards. And actually, Rajon Rondo really stepped up, came off the bench, and helped give the energy that the Lakers needed. Like I said, I mean, no one could really guard Jason Tatum out there. Jaylen Brown had a pretty nice game too for the Celtics. And I don't know what the hell Kyle Kuzma was doing out there. Like, I don't understand why Kyle Kuzma was guarding Jason Tatum to begin with. He's just an awful defender. And some of his shot selection is just like, what are you doing out there? But I digress on Kuzma. But playoffs look interesting from here on out. Like, there's only, top of my head, like 27 games left or so. So the season's almost over. Season is winding down. And I want to take a look at the playoff picture. And, Jake asked me actually a few interesting questions today. It was... Well, the first one he asked me, he's like, who do you think is the second best team in the East? And the Raptors have the second best record in the East. They're the 2 seed, and the Celtics are the 3rd spot. And he said who would win in that series if it was the Celtics-Raptors series. And I think it would come down to point guard play, because I look at the Raptors, and they've got, in my opinion, the second best player in the East, in Pascal Siakam. Not saying he's the second most dominant player. I think Siakam's the second best player in the East. And then I look at the Celtics, and they have like 3 legit wings, and you've got Gordon Hayward, who's a really good player. Then you've got Jaylen Brown, who's also a really, really good player. And then you've got Jason Tatum, who's a great player. So you've got three legit wings against 1 legit wing. Not saying it's a competition of wings or anything, but I mean, 3 against 1. I'm going to kind of side with the Celtics on this advantage. And then I look at the point guard play, Marcus Smart and Kemba Walker against Kyle Lowry. I really think it would come down to point guard play in that battle. Size would also be something interesting, but because I look at the Raptors and they have Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol, and that's a lot of size, right? But I look at today, and I know that Anthony Davis had himself a game, but for the most part, the Celtics played like JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard off the floor today. And the Celtics just beat those centers with speed and just forced a lot of turnovers. Like when Davis had the ball in the post, this is going back to what I'm saying about Anthony Davis improving in the post, when doubled. When Davis had the ball in the post, the Celtics were bringing 2 guys at him, and it would force Anthony Davis to make a decision, and he wasn't making great decisions. And they forced turnovers and ran out in transition and got easy baskets. So you can say the Celtics can do the same thing to the Raptors, but I don't know. I'm a big believer in championship experience, and the Raptors being a team last year that won it. You bring these guys back, and Raptors are just impressive. Like, they have had so many injuries this year, and they're still coming back, the hottest team in the NBA, and they're the second best team in the East. So in that series, if it was a Celtics-Raptors series, that's a 50-50 toss-up in my eyes. I think either team could have won that. But I mean, it does help when you've got you've got 2-3 guys that you can throw at Siakam in Hayward, Brown, and Tatum. You've put a lot of length on Siakam. That's troublesome for him. And Jaylen Brown is a really good defender. Like, we saw what he did today to LeBron. Like, LeBron had some possessions where he struggled to back down Brown in the post. So yeah, the Celtics are interesting. Raptors are really interesting also. That would be a really fun series. And then we were kind of talking about, me and the rest of the buffoons, Jake, Phil, and Alex. We were all talking about the Bucks. And, they're the 1 seed in the East and the best team in the entire NBA. And we don't feel like enough attention's paid to them. Like, Chris Middleton is having a historic season. I saw a graphic the other night when the Bucks were playing on national TV. Chris Middleton is one of 5 players in NBA history to average at least 20 points a game and shoot 50, 40, 90 in that same season. And that's a historic season. One of 5 players. The other players were, I don't remember who all of them were, but I know Larry Bird did it twice. And Kevin Durant was also one of the players. And then there's 2 other ones that I can't think at the top of my head. I know, Steph Curry was the other one, and then someone else. And, I just think this is one of the reasons the NBA is struggling in viewership. Like, I just think because the Bucks are a small market, everyone's just anticipating Giannis is going to be leaving if they don't win a championship. And it's like, instead of looking towards the future and free agency of 2021 when Giannis is a free agent, just enjoy what the Bucks are doing now. Enjoy the Bucks having a historic season. Enjoy Chris Middleton having a historic season. Enjoy Giannis probably winning back-to-back MVPs. And who knows what they're going to do in the playoffs, but enjoy great basketball. And I feel like that's what fans miss out on. And yeah, I mean, he might leave, but that's obviously something to think about. But just enjoy what they're doing. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and there was someone, they had a guest on, and the guest said, I was talking to someone else about being a fan of the NBA, and more importantly, being a casual fan of the NBA. And they said, if I was rooting for the Bucks, I would already be anticipating Giannis leaving. So it's like, why am I going to invest all of my time into watching a team, rooting for a team, getting emotionally involved, and then the best player leave? It's like they already anticipate the best players leaving for large markets. And is that possible? Yeah, but I think just fans, casual fans, however you want to, whichever way you want to describe fans, I think looking into the future on someone's free agency is dumb, honestly. Like, just enjoy a historically great team. Like, this Bucks team has a net rating of like plus 12.3 points or plus 12.5 points, which is the highest net rating in NBA history, more than the 2015-2016 Golden State Warriors team that won 73 games. So we are seeing a historically great team right before our eyes, and all anyone can talk about is, oh, Giannis is leaving for Miami, or Giannis is leaving for the Lakers, or so on and so forth, whatever. I understand Giannis's comments that he made the other day, like, yeah, it would be great to play with my brother in Los Angeles or something like that. I know those are worrisome comments, and it's hard to not talk about that. But, like, my whole point is, let's stop looking at the future. Let's just enjoy today's NBA basketball, because something great happens every night. I promise you. Even if it's not a statistical, historic night, there's going to be someone like Zion Williamson flying out of a torpedo and dunking his brains out. There's going to be someone crossing over someone and getting a basket. There's going to be some type of awesome defensive play that someone makes, that blocks a shot. There's going to be something great happening every night. So let's just enjoy that and stop looking for the future. No one can predict the future. I mean, let's just enjoy the Bucks. But anyway, now that I'm on the Bucks topic, that's something that we were talking about, me and the buffoons, in the group chat. We were kind of talking like, so I also think one of the reasons the Bucks also don't get talked about as much is because they have one superstar in Giannis. And a lot of the times, and now how it is in the NBA is you have to have another superstar to really win a championship. And I look at the Bucks, and I especially look at Mike Budenholzer, the Bucks head coach, and they play a specific style, especially on defense. They have, correct me here, but I don't have my numbers in front of me. I know the Bucks have like the best or one of the best paint defenses in the league, but they also have the worst or one of the worst 3-point defenses in the league. So what does that obviously tell you? That tells you we're not going to give you anything easy. We're going to clog the paint, and we're going to make you shoot threes. Okay, well, the NBA is a make or miss league. So if you play a team that's not hitting their shots, you're probably going to win. If you do come up on a team that is hitting their threes, it's not looking great for you, because 3 is greater than 2, right? That's really the philosophy in today's NBA. That's what the Rockets are really trying to make a point of emphasis. We're going to shoot more threes, more than 2s than the other team, because 3 outweighs 2. At the end of the day, the math says 3 is a better shot than the 2, which is correct. But I also look back to Budenholzer's Atlanta Hawks teams when he got the 1 seed before. They also played another specific style of defense, and they really were reliant on team defense to stop their teams, and they were a super high efficient offensive team. But I mean, they ran into LeBron in his prime. I get it. Not a lot of people were able to stop LeBron in the East, but like, still, I mean, they really only had one guy to throw at LeBron, who was DeMarre Carroll, and he really didn't stop LeBron much. And it's just like, well, if you can only play one style, what if a team you come across is able to kind of outplay that style? You have to have another backup plan and a way to stop these guys. Like, I look at the Lakers, like, we all know they can't stop dynamic athletic wings. They just can't. So today they actually did something interesting, and they started trapping a wing, forcing the ball out of his hands, so making other players beat them. And what are the Bucks going to do if they come across a team that's just knocking down all their threes? Do they just tip their hat and say, "Okay, you got us"? That works in the regular season, and this is why I think Budenholzer are so successful in the regular season. But come playoff time, he's not that successful. Maybe it's different this time because he's actually got the best player in the game on his team. I'm not sure, but it's definitely something to look out for. And I look at the matchups that the Bucks could have, and I think the 76ers scare them. I know Ben Simmons actually has a bad back injury right now, so let's hope he's going to be okay. And I look at, I think the Sixers are really built to beat Milwaukee, but then you look at the 76ers and it's like, well, look at your road record. Like you're 9-20 on the road, and you have one of the best home records at like 26-2. And I look at other teams in the East, like if the 76ers could play the Bucks every round, they would get to the finals. But they're not going to be playing the Bucks every round. You probably got to go through the Heat or the Pacers, or I don't know who they're going to exactly play, but they don't match up well with a lot of the other teams. They're built to beat the Bucks. I don't think the 76ers were really anticipating the East being as good as it's been. So the 76ers got a lot to figure out because they are a wreck on the road. And I talked about this on the last episode with Alex. Definitely listen to that. And then I don't know. The East is interesting because seeding is going to be so important, and the Bucks are just like, they're historically great, but it's crazy how they're a historically great team, but there's still not a lot of people believing in them. And it's going to be interesting. The Bucks really have everything you need. I mean, they've got size with both Lopez brothers. They have depth off the bench in DiVincenzo, and they just signed Marvin Williams off the buyout market. And then their starting lineup is terrific. So, I mean, I think also because of how Eric Bledsoe, their starting point guard, has performed the last few seasons in the playoffs, he's been very unproductive. So I think a lot of people will worry about that as an indicator that maybe the Bucks aren't going to go as far as they should. And that is definitely something to worry about. But I think ultimately it's obviously going to come down to Giannis, right? I mean, it always comes down to your best player. So are they going to play a team that's just going to be knocking down threes? And are they knocking them down? We're going to see. But Giannis is really going to have to hit his jump shots. He's really going to have to. Because once he was guarded by Kawhi Leonard last year and he got shut down. And, teams are going to give him that space to shoot jump shots. I mean, I look at what the Spurs tried doing to LeBron in the finals. They were going under all of the screens, and LeBron had space to shoot. He shot, and he made his jump shots, and the Spurs lost that series. And that's something Giannis is going to have to do. Teams are going to go under screens on him. They're not going to let them beat him. They're not going to let him beat them one-on-one in the paint and just bully people. They're going to force him to shoot jump shots. So it's going to be up to Giannis to hopefully have that shot developed and to knock those shots down. But then you think, well, if he's not knocking the shots down, who's he going to give the ball to? And this is where I think a lot of people say Giannis needs more help, even though he's got a 50, 40, 90 guy in Chris Middleton, but not really the one-on-one type of player that can get his own shots. So I think obviously this ultimately comes down to Giannis. And if Giannis is knocking the shots down, good luck. No one's beating the Bucks if that's the case. And then, talked a little bit about the East, but the West is interesting because I look at like teams like the Rockets and teams like the other Los Angeles team, the Clippers. Clippers are dealing with a lot of health issues right now. It's like, people want to give the Clippers a bunch of free passes like, oh no, they'll be fine. How many games have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard played together? 15, 20 games max? Yeah, I think so. But if they're not able to hold it together in the regular season with health, what's to say that they're going to be able to hold it together in the postseason? Like, I'm not sold on that yet. And on paper, and I guess you can say facts, because the Clippers have beaten the Lakers, twice already, that, yeah, the Clippers are probably a better team than the Lakers, but are the Clippers going to have their whole roster? Beverly's been out for like a month already. Paul George just is out again, and that's putting more pressure on Kawhi Leonard. This isn't the East where Kawhi Leonard can coast through the regular season and load manage. They need Kawhi to play more games unless you want to drop in the standings, and then you got to play the Rockets or someone like that, or the Nuggets first round. That's a tough first round series. So I don't know. I'm not as sold on the Clippers as everyone else is. Although fully healthy, I do think they beat the Lakers in a 7-game series. But the health is a huge question mark, and they haven't been healthy all year. And it helps in the playoffs when you don't play back-to-backs. You play every other day or every other 2 days. So the Clippers have that going for them. And if I'm the Clippers, I mean, I'm trying to avoid probably the Rockets at most. I think the Rockets pose a lot of threats for the Clippers. The Clippers are 1-2 against the Rockets this year. I think the Rockets' speed is really something that the Clippers are going to have to figure out. So if I'm the Clippers, I'm trying to avoid the Rockets, honestly. I think the Clippers probably beat every other team. And I still think they probably beat the Rockets, but I think the Rockets actually pose the most threats out of any West team for the Clippers. And then, so I've pretty much covered all 3 teams here that I think are probably the most legit contenders, in being the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Bucks. I think the Lakers out of those 3 teams probably have the most to figure out, because I mean, what do you do against wings? I mean, the NBA playoffs are really defined by wings. I know some people will say it's a point guard driven league, and they might be right. Some would argue and say it's a wing driven league, because at the end of the day in the playoffs, point guards really aren't winning your championships. It's the wings that can do 4 or 5 different things. And like Kawhi Leonard last year, and year before that, Kevin Durant. Year before that, Kevin Durant again, and LeBron James. Like, I know Steph Curry was on those teams, but I think wings are really what wins you championships in this league, and the Lakers struggle immensely guarding wings. So I really like the Markieff Morris signing for them. I think he also gives them physicality, which is sometimes what the Lakers lack. I think like the Lakers, like, they build some leads occasionally, and then, like, we actually saw it today against the Celtics. Lakers build an 8 or 9 point lead, and then the Celtics come back and hit them. And the Celtics come back, build a lead, and then the Lakers, you see, are looking back at the refs and bitching. Instead of bitching, get back on defense. Stop giving up a 4-on-5 and giving the Celtics easy baskets. It's like when Lakers get hit back by a team, they don't respond very well. And that's something they have to... They did respond today. I'll give them that. Maybe these experiences throughout the regular season have helped. Hey, we're building leads, but we're getting hit in the mouth. We got to respond back. And they did that today, so that's something to look forward to. And, maybe we'll see this going forward, where they just have to... Because they don't have a great one-on-one defender on their team that can stop these wings. So maybe another strategy for them is to trap wings. They have to do something, because in the West, there's a lot of wings. And if you're the Lakers, you probably get by first round with maybe a sweep if you're playing the Grizzlies. Maybe the Grizzlies squeeze one win out, maybe. But then you get to the second round, and you're probably going to be playing... I'm just kind of going based off what the seedings are now. They're probably going to be playing, like, I don't know, the Jazz or the Rockets. Rockets don't really have a dynamic wing. I mean, they've got Harden, but I mean, he's not. You can the Lakers have the ability to throw some people at Harden, and then, or you're probably playing the Jazz, and Jazz have like Donovan Mitchell but they don't really have a dynamic small forward or power forward 3 or 4 spot. It's the teams that the Lakers probably want to try to avoid at all costs in the West are like the Clippers for sure. I would be trying to avoid the Clippers, and then like in the East, it's like, well, Bucks, 76ers have some, they have Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. So I don't know, man. If you're a Laker fan, you got to be a little scared of these dynamic wings, and hopefully they can figure something out. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Buzzer Beater. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions that you would like me to answer, go to buffoonssportstalk@gmail.com. Again, buffoonssportstalk@gmail.com. I would love to have an episode where I can just answer questions and just talk about the thing I love, which is the NBA. Also, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, really wherever you get your podcasts. We are all over the place. We all love talking about sports, being the buffoons and myself. And if there's anything you guys want us to talk about, like I said, shoot us a message at our Gmail, and we will get back to you and answer questions live. We also record a podcast. We usually try to record all 4 of us on the weekends, but sometimes it's hard. So I tend to do these editions of the Buzzer Beater by myself. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, I'm going to be having more guests on here. So look forward to that. And I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for listening. Bullet, take it away.